the Sustaining Creativity podcast. I'm your host, Mari Riesberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Naturopathic Doctor, Dr. EnQi. Please enjoy Dr. EnQi. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast. Today, I am here with Dr. EnQi, Naturopathic Doctor. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited to chat with you today about creativity and hear how creativity shows up in being a naturopathic doctor and in all the other things that you do. But before we get there, if you wouldn't mind just letting our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
I'm a single dad of 5, so I raised, well, I might as well say 6 again because we recently got a new puppy. So that's been like a whole thing. But yeah, I'm a single dad. I raise my babies. I do homeschool. I try to teach in between time, in the meantime. And the focal point of what I do is try to get folks to maximize their lifespan in a nutshell.
Nice.
So,
maximizing lifespan sounds like an honorable and very creative endeavor.
it's definitely it definitely you have to be creative because getting people's attention span on it seems like it's definitely counterintuitive, but people are the least interested in their health out of all the things that circulate in their sphere of influence or the things that they're influenced by. They're least excited about health potential. And the craziest thing, I guess, is that the healthier you are, the least interested you are in learning about your health. So
interesting how that works.
Yeah, you only get people interested for a 5-minute window. When something's wrong, then they become interested. So there's a lot of creativity involved in trying to maintain the attention span of folks and get people to prepare for something that they really don't feel like they need to be preparing for. It's like Noah when the flood was coming. You're trying to build the ark and people are like, bro, it's never flooded before. We don't know what you're doing. It's never flooded before. It's never even rained that long. So, and Noah's like, I don't know, but it's coming. It's coming.
Right. Yeah. The preemptive work that goes into health and wellness and life longevity. Yeah. You do have to get creative to inspire people to pay attention and hear what you have to say. So what are some of the strategies or the creative ways that you work on inspiring people to make their health and well-being a priority?
Good question. I would say I try to let things blossom in my life and then transfer them out. So like, for instance, I'll be doing something with my children and then I'll be like, ooh, okay, let me roll. Let's redo this, family. Let's redo this spontaneous moment that was unscripted. And, so I just try to find the items that work for us and share those. We've had a lot of, well, I won't say a lot of, but we've had some tragedy, and out of the tragedy, you kind of, tragedy is the mother of invention or something to that effect. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Necessity is the mother of invention, something like that. Yeah.
Usually necessity is partnered with tragedy somehow. Like my daughter, she had, like I was a phone salesman and my daughter, she got into a situation where the doctor said she wouldn't walk again, et cetera, et cetera. And
Mm-hmm.
so that necessity dictated some creativity. And
Yeah.
from that situation, long story short, for the people that don't know, a nurse fell asleep at the wheel, ran over my daughter. She had a broken neck, broken
Mm.
spine in places. And the doctor said she would never walk again. That's kind of what got me into the space.
Mm-hmm.
I had to take over her healing, so to speak,
Yeah.
and do some unorthodox stuff. And from there, word kind of spread. And so it was like, okay, well, slowly but surely, I started to, I guess, consult people and then realizing that I had a gift, I started to go back for various certifications and
Mm-hmm.
herbs and this and that and sports nutrition and, just slowly but surely put what people know of today together brick by brick. And
Mm-hmm.
some of the things are reminders of, basics, let's stop smoking. Let's do this. Let's incorporate, fill those addictions with, other healthier activities. And,
Mm-hmm.
but then you get to more complicated stuff, and that's where you require a little bit more creativity, like trying to get people to really get some of this information about, like, my specialty is diabetes.
Yeah.
So there's a whole nother set of hormones that are responsible for sugar homeostasis or glucose homeostasis than
Mm-hmm.
insulin. Getting people to understand that, yeah, maybe in 1950, with what we knew about diabetes, there were two types of diabetes or two forms of diabetes, but now, there's three different forms of type 1 diabetes,
Mm.
different forms of type 2 diabetes, mitochondrial diabetes, Alzheimer's, pancreatic diabetes. Like, so there's so many more things that the approaches to these things
Yeah.
have to change. With that, even the approaches to, periphery care or alternative care and some of those other things have to be more nuanced, and people
Mm-hmm.
have to realize that every approach doesn't work for us. So just constantly beating the drum, and then making some popular references that may help some folks sometime.
Nice. Yeah. It sounds like you're pulling from not only your own life, but pop culture and incorporating all of that in to spark some excitement about helping or someone wanting to help themselves by participating in their health and well-being.
Yeah, because it's scary, you have the idea that you get sick. Getting sick means you have some sort of uh, loss of convenience to your everyday life, or some symptoms that pop up immediately or within 10 days, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always the case.
Right.
Alzheimer's has like a 20 to 50-year incubation period. So
Mm-hmm.
the time that people think they're at their most invincible in their 20s is when Alzheimer's is setting in. So by the time you're 50 or 60 and the symptoms pop up,
Yeah.
it's almost too late to try to get you out of out of the dragon's mouth, so to speak. You're in the mouth of the shark already. You're already gone.
Right. So much creativity has to come into, finding alternative ways or things that can help. And I'm so curious, when you think of creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
To me, being creative is harnessing a part of your calling, as well as harnessing um, that the now moment, like what's happening right now, what's relevant right now, and then being able to tie that to what your calling is. So, um, like me and my son, we have basketball conversations a lot.
Mhm.
So a lot of our conversations with him, like if I'm trying to communicate some science or some health concepts to him, I've got to wrap it in basketball language, so we've got, I've got to maybe start the conversation by referencing how many more years LeBron has out of his body versus what Michael Jordan did and was able to accomplish. But he came in with the cigars and the alcohol and the steaks, whereas LeBron has the team of dietitians and nutritionists. So he's he's maximizing his career at 20 years in. He's still averaging the same amount of points he did at year 5, whereas Jordan had a 13-year window and he was already declining.
Mm-hmm.
And so, largely that's diet, nutrition, lifestyle, and some of those things. And then so you're able to tie in a new pop cultural phenomenon, or just what's relevant to your target audience today,
Yeah.
into kind of couch it in the conversation that and then from there you're able to kind of open up and have a free flowing dialogue where almost everything is creative, because although you're kind of coming with a textbook conversation, everything is nuanced in today and what the possibilities are for tomorrow.
But I love, hearing how you're able to kind of pull it in and knowing what your son is interested in and how you can relay information that he'll remember or find applicable to his own life if he wants to have a similar career or striving for those goals that LeBron has, and how he can pay attention to that. But I think that experience of utilizing, creativity to really reach someone, it sounds like you do that a lot in the work that you do, not only as a parent, but also as a, you know, physician working within
Yeah.
that wellness world.
My target audience is particularly resistant to they're particularly resistant to new information, especially that involves disciplinary changes
Oh,
as adults.
yeah.
Adults in general are particularly resistant to discipline. Like that's not.
Uh-huh.
We figured that we left that in our childhood. Like I'm grown. You're not getting ready to tell me what to do. But
Right.
yeah, but my audience is even more, especially when it's like you got to relearn some stuff, and you may have to even second guess some of your own decision making thus far. You know,
Yeah. You face a lot of challenges with, supporting people to take action or have agency and changing things about their life. How do you in your own life face challenges?
it's just a daily grind.
Mm.
For me, like I've had experience where I had a seizure and my heart stopped.
Whew.
It's called ictoastole, and that was like a really big transformative. I had a lot of information previous to that on lifestyle and this, that, and the other. And I guess I was
Mhm.
privy to just having great examples and great inspiration around. But like most John Q public, kind of in one ear, out the other, some stuff kind of lingers around, and you should be changing things, but a lot of us, we're just getting started on Monday. And, that
Mhm.
Monday never comes, but we're going to get started on Monday. We're going to quit these cigarettes on Monday. We're going to have our last drinks this weekend. And
Yeah.
then we're hitting the gym starting up this Monday. This Monday, we're going to start losing weight. I'm going to cut back on bread. No. Seriously, I'm going to get rid of this milk. No. I'm going to get rid of pork. I'm going to do this on Monday. And then, Monday never comes. I had a best friend named Desmond, may he rest in greatness.
Mm.
when I started to make we went to high school together, so we were as ratchet as can be together. Mornings we started mornings with beer together, as
Uh-huh.
brothers should. But as I started to make my transition and started to talk about different things, he was there with me. He would always say, "Now, I'm gonna start up on Monday." 20 years worth of Mondays went by.
Mm-hmm.
He had a heart attack and his heart stopped and didn't restart. So,
Yeah.
things like that I carry with me in a real time sense, because I just try to let folks know, like, you really are not promised tomorrow. Like, tomorrow
Right.
is, and by the time the tomorrows get snatched, you don't get to go back and make changes at that point.
Yeah.
Inform your loved ones at that point. You don't get to, it's just boom. It just comes that quick. And that's the crux. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's loved ones, friends, family members, or yourself, like, this is even what I try to do in terms of giving people advice,
Mm-hmm.
and just in the general space. Figure out the things that work for you, and not necessarily like the mechanical stuff, like the inspiration, the why, the thing
Mm-hmm.
that moved you into action, and then get more into sharing that. Like, a lot of social media stuff is all cliche, and it's not necessarily the gas that people need to get the car started, because
Right.
we all know in 2022, especially post pandemic, where everybody, literally started a social media page or a podcast or something, you know,
Yeah.
we all know that we need to exercise a little bit more, or probably eat a little bit less, or some combination of the two. It's just a matter of getting started, correctly, and then keeping it
Mhm.
consistent. How do we keep a consistent model where when we fall down off our high horse, we're able to minimize the time on the ground in the mud and
Yeah.
quickly get back on the horse, and not necessarily lose so much ground. You
Right.
know, like, people try to go plant-based, and then they slip up. They had some, mac and cheese at, their house or something crazy. And then, like, oh well, I might as well have the this and the that and the other. And
Yeah.
it comes back up. Monday, I'm gonna get back.
Right. Oh my goodness.
Don't wait for Monday. Just forgive yourself, excuse yourself, and just get back right where you at. If you had the macaroni, you had the macaroni. If you had a slice of pizza, listen, you had the slice of pizza. It's okay. The world's not
Yeah.
going to stop spinning. Next meal, you're back, just get back on your square. Don't go, don't, because the monster is always in there inside you, lurking. And it's all
Mm.
saying, just go ahead and open up that Pepsi. Nobody's really, just come on and slice that cake up and stop playing.
Sure.
You want to have it. And then it's like, you had a slice, but then, man, it was good. I'm just going to have one more slice. Like, it is always in there active. So you got to constantly be vigilant against yourself, and
And use
that's,
that creativity. Have some conversations with the monster.
yeah.
I'm really curious, in your own life and experience, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
My earliest memory of being creative. Hmm. Creative has always been such a necessity for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
creativity and struggle go hand in hand. Creativity and poverty go hand in hand. So,
Yeah.
um, my earliest memories of being creative are like imagining food when we didn't have any.
Yeah. I, that is
we,
some creativity.
yeah, we used to fill up, like, drink the water from our sink in the bathroom, like fill our stomachs up on water, and then imagine foods.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
So,
that's reality and creativity all
yeah,
in one.
yeah. So we had plenty of time to exercise the power of our mind and visualize, like a lot of complex. um we had practice with a lot of more complex philosophies and
Mm,
ways of thinking, ways of seeing things,
hmm.
even though we didn't know what we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
So visualization, to the
Mhm.
point where, like now, as a practice, one of the things that I learned in my travels and studies were with visualization. You want to try to hold the visualization until you can smell it. You know,
Yeah.
just certain things like that to increase your power of like manifesting things into your, into your
Hmm.
reality. Back then, we didn't know exactly what we were doing. We were just trying to get to sleep.
Yeah.
But some of those practices of, visualization and just
Hmm.
trying to make tangible ideas, like literally trying to make tangible thoughts
Yeah.
in the adult space, they now help, because where people may just be getting exposed to some of these thought exercises and meditation
Hmm.
out of necessity, we kind of, without necessarily an online guru to lead us
Right.
through. But
Yeah.
yeah, things like that. Yeah, you kind of, and then as you begin to have dreams and aspirations for what it is that you want to do, you kind of got
Hmm.
to envision yourself in that space as well. That's
Yeah.
part of being able to walk your walk, or to go through your struggle, so to speak, to whatever it
Hmm.
is you're trying to build. You've got to be able to see it, envision it, and live in that space mentally, even though your reality may not dictate that at the time, until your reality catches up sometimes.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing all of those pieces and the tips around meditation and mindfulness and visualization. I imagine the work that you do, you come in contact with people who don't feel like they are creative or have any creativity available to them. How would you encourage someone who doesn't believe they are creative to find creativity in their life?
We just talk about their life.
Mm.
Often that's the thing. That actually occurs more times than not in the help space. Like, people don't think that these types of conversations happen in the help space, but in the help space, especially as a naturopath, everything is relevant. So it's
Yeah.
not just a matter of, okay, well, you're trying to deal with your immune system or whatever. So, it's like what herbs or what vitamins or what dietary changes. It's like those things are part of the conversation, but it's also emotional, mental well-being. So all of those conversations become relevant, even hyper relevant, because that's where everything starts to flow from. So a lot of times people just need to be talked back into their creative space, because life will talk them out of it. But there is no such thing as people without creativity. There's people that are beat down with life so they can't see their creativity.
Yeah.
But most times those are when you're most creative, So like single parents are creative all the time, because they've got to create a world for their children. And I
Right.
know this because I'm a single dad raising 5 children. As a single parent, you've constantly got to create the space where your children don't realize maybe the financial limitations or the time limitations. So, you might have 2 slices of bread and have to turn that into a meal for
Mm-hmm.
7, like in that constant grind and constant struggle,
Yeah.
and your anxiety is all over the place, and depression is, like, anxiety and depression are sister and brother. You know, depression comes, it just to simplify, but most times depression is worrying about stuff that's already happened. Anxiety is the opposite twin, where you're worrying about stuff that hasn't happened yet. It may not even ever happen, may not even be real. You worried about something that may not, but
Right,
keeping your children in
exactly.
a space where they don't necessarily absorb your depressions, anxieties, where they don't really know what, because there's a space where, like, coming out of the Bronx, we didn't even know that we didn't have, like, well, I was, until much later on. Like, my parents were good magicians. So a lot of times you just
Yeah.
talk people back into what their life is. And the thing that they're struggling with is where they're employing the most creativity. They don't realize it. If they're struggling with their job and they hate their job, but they're on time there every single day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They get to work on time. They punch out when their boss might be a maniac, or they might be dealing with harassment, whoever. Those are the spaces where they need to be reminded that, hey, in order for you to get back there every day, you've got to be creative. In order for you to tolerate your boss,
Yeah,
that's creativity. The things that you're saying, talking yourself through,
absolutely.
whatever you need to say to yourself to get through, that's your
100%.
creativity. However you're
Mm,
turning 2 apples into 7 for your children, like, that's your creativity. However you found a way to rob Peter and pay Paul, that's your creativity. Now,
yeah.
we want to try to get into a space where you can use some of that collective creativity to try to drive some things forward that you may want to create for yourself, instead of being,
Mhm.
shoulders pinned against the wall and having to be creative to the point where you don't even really recognize how creative you've been
Yeah,
to to get to this moment, to get to this space. Like, even entrepreneurs or
yeah.
personal trainers, it's like, you've got to go through your personal struggles to get wherever it is. And as you're moving through, when you're coming down with the, withdrawal symptoms of,
Yeah.
giving up your favorite brand of cookies or whatever it is, but, everyone's struggle is their
Mm.
own. And, there's a space where your struggles are small compared to someone else's, but they're large also compared to someone else's, because it's all personal space. But you just got to be able to harness your thing and own your, just help people
Right.
to own their own genius. Creating is about, making new things, making something new, but have an innate fear of the unknown. So, as a creator,
Yeah.
if you are a remixer, and there's nothing wrong with being a remixer, but remixers are not creators. Remixers are people that put new spin on familiar stuff, which is cool. But if
Yeah.
you're a creator and you're creating like original content and you're blazing original trails,
Mm.
you got to know the arrows are coming. The trailblazers are the ones that take the arrows. So, you know, you've got to know that there's going to be some backlash to,
Yep.
whenever you make something new in a world where everyone thinks that they know everything already. In order to lay down a new foundation, you've got to uproot something that may already be existing. And you may have to uproot that in yourself before you uproot it in others, or you may just be uprooting something that someone else's. So,
Mm-hmm.
you've got to have that internal fortitude to go along with your creativity and ingenuity, knowing that, hey, this is a new thing. Nobody knows about it. Nobody can see your vision but you. So you're going to have to believe hard enough for everybody else until, until it starts to manifest, and then people can
Right.
kind of tap in. And,
Totally. I love it. Well, thank you so much for all of the tips
all
and
right.
reminders and stories. I truly appreciate it. I just have one last question for you.
Oh, man.
What does it feel like in your
Um,
body to be creative?
it's the feeling of being alive. It's, yeah, being creative is everything for me.
Ah,
Being creative. for me. It's I can't
Yeah.
imagine. I can't imagine not, like, my mind is hardwired to creativity. So I can't imagine. I'm either in my gears go from consuming information
Mhm.
in preparation of a new creation or being in the middle of a new creation. Like it's creating something or getting ready to create something new. I think that's the whole idea of getting out of the rat race is so that you can experience more of that magic daily in your life. I think that if you have the 9 to 5 or just things that you're tied to daily that you've got to do and you don't really get excited
Mm.
or you know, you're not passionate about the things that you have to do every day. And it's cool because, we're sometimes in that space where we've got to do what we got to do
Yeah.
in order to be able to do what we want to do.
It's fantastic. Like you have such a full life. I love it. And thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this evening. If people want to learn more about the things that you do, how could they go about doing that?
I would say for them to look up the documentary. It's called American Healer.
Mhm.
American Healer documentary starring myself. And it just walks people, I guess, through what I do, some of the discoveries we've made pounding the pavement and in
Mm.
our studies, electromagnetic tissue, the adventure of being me every day.
I love it. I'll put that link in our show notes so people can find it and have easy access. And thank you again for taking the time to chat with me. It has been such a pleasure to hear all of the bits and pieces about you and to chat about creativity.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah, I love it. Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com, for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.